It took less than a day for Ferrari to make the headlines, and not in the way they'd hoped. The SF26 had barely been unveiled when footage surfaced online. The car, motionless, stranded on the Fiorano circuit. Team members rushed toward it, guiding it back to the pits. In an instant, the anxiety that has followed Ferrari for years came rushing back. The morning had promised something very different. Ferrari had unveiled their challenger for the new era in a sleek online presentation. The glossy red and white livery gleamed. Technical innovations were described in precise, impressive detail, and Lewis Hamilton, the most decorated driver in the sport's history, was about to climb into the cockpit for the very first time. It should have been a celebration. Hamilton climbed aboard. He rolled onto the wet Fiorano surface. The roar of Ferrari's new power unit echoed around the track. Cameras captured the SF26 circling for the first time. And then, silence. The car stopped. Personnel appeared. The launch day that had been carefully choreographed suddenly had a very different story. Outside Maranello, no one knew what had really happened. Perhaps it was routine, a scheduled systems check, a data verification, a precautionary shakedown. Teams do this all the time. But for Ferrari fans, the reaction was immediate and visceral. This is a team that has spent years breaking promises, delivering disappointment. They had signed the greatest driver alive and handed him the worst car of his career. Reports of chaos and delays had long plagued the team. So when footage showed their new car standing still on track, fear was almost inevitable. The context makes it easier to understand. Ferrari's road to this moment had been far from smooth. Insiders suggested the team struggled to finalize their design on time. The chassis allegedly received approval at the last possible moment. Some claimed the SF26 was only completed the day before its unveiling. Whether true or exaggerated, it created a cloud of uncertainty before the first lap had even been completed. And the car itself is Ferrari's statement for this new regulatory cycle. Engineers describe it as a complete redesign, built from the ground up to meet the new technical framework. Its bodywork emphasizes aerodynamics and weight savings. Pushrod suspension appears at both ends, something Ferrari hasn't done at the rear since 2011. The power unit uses steel cylinder heads instead of the usual aluminum, allowing higher temperatures and pressures. Hamilton needed this moment to go smoothly. His first season with Ferrari had been a nightmare. 0 podiums, consistently outpaced by his teammate, a car so uncompetitive that even his legendary talent could make no difference. At 41, he doesn't have unlimited chances. The 2026 regulations were supposed to offer redemption. Watching his new car escorted off the track was never part of the plan. And the contrast with other teams only made it starker. Mercedes conducted their shakedown at Silverstone, maximizing every permitted mile without incident. Both drivers completed extensive running. Everything worked exactly as intended. Alpine ran their new Mercedes-powered car smoothly. For Ferrari, the SF26's first day had become a question mark, and for fans, a familiar one. The Racing Bulls racked up meaningful kilometers despite challenging conditions. Ferrari, by contrast, became the outlier, their name attached to troubling footage. Technical director Loic Serra spoke of the extensive conceptual work that shaped the SF26. The team wanted a foundation capable of supporting aggressive development throughout the season. Flexibility and adaptability were priorities. Noble intentions, perhaps, but on day one, reliability questions make them ring hollow. The collective test in Barcelona looms. Teams will gather for 5 days, with 3 days of actual running allowed. Ferrari cannot afford to arrive with unresolved issues while rivals showcase their readiness. Leclerc waits in the wings for his turn behind the wheel. The Monegasque has carried Ferrari through recent seasons, extracting performance that the machinery didn't deserve. His future hinges on 2026. Patience has limits. If Ferrari cannot provide a car capable of winning, he will look elsewhere. Incidents like today do nothing to reassure him. The engine situation adds another layer of complexity. Mercedes and Red Bull reportedly exploited a loophole in the compression ratio regulations, gaining significant power. Ferrari joined other manufacturers in asking the FIA for intervention. The governing body discussed the matter but made no immediate changes. If the speculation is correct, Ferrari's chassis must be exceptional just to stay competitive. Every team faces difficulties in development. The question is how quickly and how effectively they are resolved. Ferrari has time, but not as much as they'd like. Melbourne is 6 weeks away. Fred Vasseur has projected calm confidence throughout preparation. The team principal acknowledged challenges, insisting Ferrari remains competitive. His credibility now rests on what happens next. If the Fiorano stoppage was routine, clear communication will reassure. If it signals real issues, decisive action is required. Ambiguity serves no one. Hamilton will return to the cockpit. More laps will be completed, data will be analyzed, adjustments will be made. The process continues, regardless of today's headlines. But the narrative has shifted. Instead of celebrating a new beginning, Ferrari must explain an uncomfortable moment. The Tifosi have shown extraordinary loyalty through difficult years. They watched their beloved team struggle while rivals celebrated. They held faith despite repeated disappointments. They welcomed Hamilton with open arms, believing his arrival signaled serious intent. They deserve more than worrying footage and unanswered questions. 2026 was meant to be a fresh start. New regulations promised a level playing field. New technical approaches offered opportunity. Yet, the opening chapter of their campaign has introduced doubt instead of confidence. Other teams move through their initial running without drama. Ferrari stands apart, footage fueling speculation rather than excitement. The coming days will decide whether this becomes a footnote or a foreshadowing. Ferrari must prove their car works reliably. They must show their preparation was sufficient. They must demonstrate that behind-the-scenes chaos has not compromised the final product. The burden of proof rests squarely on them. Hamilton chose Ferrari believing they could deliver his 8th title.